listening to the Success in Sheds podcast. It's a show created to inspire shed builders and portable building manufacturers to achieve optimal success in their shed businesses. I'm your host, Jim Mosier. I'm the author of the book Selling Sheds Online, the complete guide to digital marketing for shed builders and portable building manufacturers. I'm also the founder of Shed Marketer, the digital marketing agency for the shed industry. On each episode, I'll be sitting down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they've learned, and how to find success in sheds. So without any further ado, let's talk about sheds. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in today to the Success in Sheds podcast. Today, I got a very special guest with me, RTO National's Richard Mashburn. He is the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer. And we wanted to bring him online and talk a little bit about the financial aspects of the shed industry and have a kind of a discussion about where it's been, where it's going, and how RTO National plays a role in that. So, Richard, I'll let you introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks, Jim. It's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate you having us. So I am, as you said, Richard Mashburn, Chief Sales and Marketing Officer of RTO National. So we are one of the largest providers of payments in the portable storage, carport steel structure, HVAC, boat lift, and even generators recently is one of the divisions. So we do both standard traditional simple interest financing of these products, and we do what's commonly rent to own, we call lease purchase. Our footprint is literally the continental United States. We do business from Maine to California. And anywhere it's legally available to do a lease purchase or rent to own in the U.S., you can use RTO National to get a shed, get a carport, steel structure, or those type things.
Okay, well, cool. So Richard, let's. I want to talk about your background just a little bit. I started kind of researching you when we started connecting about having you on the podcast here, and I know you got your start. You weren't in the shed industry. You weren't in the portable building industry or carport industry or any of that. You started out in automotive. Is that right?
That's right. So like my background going way back, I have to date myself a little bit, is retail. So automobile retail, after I came out of college, I worked in the retail side, ended up going up through large privately held groups. I was with the Hendrick Automotive Group, if they're familiar with them. That used to be the largest privately held in the U.S. Was integral in some of the early days of subprime auto lending, the development of dealer side processes, things like that, both in a local and national level based on the groups I was with at the time. I ran a multi-franchise platform for a while on the retail side. For me personally, I transitioned into the auto lending side later in my career with Wells Fargo, and worked closely with them on the rollout of imagine that, leasing in the Wells Fargo platform of automobiles in conjunction with their simple interest loans. Some of my background was on training and implementation, things like that. Interesting experiences in those days. That was kind of the advent of the first websites in the car business and things like that. All the way to automated approvals and shifting from manual applications. I'm old enough to remember selling your cars on finance applications, and you took your contracts down to the local bank office and negotiated with the branch manager to sell the contracts.
Oh, wow.
Literally. I mean, that was, I was very young at the time, but that was the way it started. Now everything's automated. Worked up from there. Wells Fargo was a big entity, did that for a long time. I spent some time with ADP in their digital solutions division. So a lot of people think of ADP on this side in this industry about a payroll service, but they're actually one of the largest providers of an operating system, like a dealer management system for car dealers. And they had a digital division that I worked with on the contract side that launched out original websites, transacting websites, and social media platforms and integrations over time. So I got to participate in that. And then more recently, I was with a de novo startup in the subprime auto lending space, specializing in alternative data. So approving people for lending options using things other than traditional FICO score and credit band. So pulling alternative payment histories, cell phone histories, rental payment histories, things like that, and automated decisioning engines. So that was a lot of tech terms, but
Yeah. So that sounds
That's a
like
lot of things we did around sales.
hearing that though, it makes it seem like that's just kind of like a natural progression into the RTO industry itself, and the lease purchase and all of that.
It is. It's a great story. I know, sometimes some of my stories take longer than a podcast can hold, but Phil Falls, the founder and president of RTO National. RTO National is 20 years old today. And a lot of people aren't aware, Phil Falls started as an investment banker and saw an investment and decided that building sheds and doing rent to own was a great entrepreneurial business. So he left investment banking in his 30s and formed a shed manufacturer called Better Built Storage that then offered its own in-house rent to own. And as that service expanded and grew, it became the primary. I'm technically the chief sales and marketing officer of Better Built Storage. That entity still exists. We don't build sheds anymore, but we own RTO National Rent to Own. We own RTO National Finance. All the other divisions of the company are actually a subset of his old manufacturing company, but it was started by an investment banker. Well, Phil wrote a very interesting article in 2016 that people kind of refer to from time to time, talking about a consolidation coming in the shed industry that he felt would look very similar to what auto had and was experiencing. And interestingly enough, one of the people in my direct chain of command got recruited by a recruiter to go to work for RTO National. That prompted a conversation between Phil and I. And we developed a great friendship over 3 or 4 months, just talking about ideas and the similarities of the industry. And one day he looks at me and goes, "Why don't you come work with me? I think there's a lot of similarities between what you've done and seen and what I want to do and accomplish." And it's been a great opportunity, a great partnership in company. Phil's a brilliant guy. But if you think about your experience, Jim, and like what your company does as an expertise, in the shed industry, when I got in 2017, RTO National was building websites and giving them away for free just because we knew people weren't online to transact.
Oh, wow.
Nobody
Yeah.
knew how to maintain them. And if you gave them one without the expertise and knowledge of how to use it, it just died. None of those websites exist today. But if you look at what happened and what we thought would happen, it is coming true as he saw it. What we've seen in the shed industry happen in the last 5 years took almost 20 years in the car business to transpire. From the formation and integration of websites at a manufacturer level to a local dealer level, to the ability to generate leads and follow leads, all the way up to design and buy your own car. I find like a fun fact, I was actually working with a private equity firm when Carvana first came over as a pitch. And we take great pride at RTO National. We have a small retail division where we experiment. We could actually have a customer solo purchase a shed before Carvana could have a customer solo purchase a car.
Oh, really? How interesting is that?
It's really interesting how those technologies have moved so fast in the shed industry that took decades to implement in the car business.
Well, I met you actually in person at the Shed Builder Expo last year in Grand Rapids, and I was actually really surprised at the number of technology companies that were there. And a lot of people try to get confused as to whether my company Shed Marketer is a technology company or if it's a marketing company, and the answer really is it's kind of both. But yeah, I there are a lot of options now that didn't used to exist. I know that back when my original client in the shed industry came to me and said, "Hey, we want a shed configuration tool." They are looking for a 3D builder, and there was only really one, Idea Room. They were the only one in the industry back then, and now you have others, and they have some legit competition. I won't lie with that. So you're correct. There is a lot of technology happening in the industry, and it's I don't see it slowing down. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. When you have a roll out a website to somebody and they don't really know how to properly manage it, how to bring the traffic to it, how to how to optimize it for lead generation. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother another podcast. Is it's not just having the website, it's how you structure the website, how you put compelling calls to action on a page. The conversion optimization is like one of my passions, and so that's something that I know you and I could probably go deep dive on that. But
maybe deeper than some people want to hear today.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes these conversations get real technical, but they're very, very valid and relevant in today's market.
Yeah, they are. So from a payment technology standpoint, RTO National, you're saying that you guys have kind of worked to lead the way in bringing the shed industry kind of up to par with some of the others. I know that you mentioned online approvals and things like that. Let's talk about where the shed industry was when he kind of wooed you over to RTO National, and where it is today, and kind of what you feel is the reason that it's kind of driven forward the way it has.
There's a lot of pieces, and it's not just specific to the payment side of it. And we've seen it change. So like, in 2017, when I came on board, websites weren't that common. And one of the big concerns was, just speaking demographically, when you looked at RTO National's national footprint, the largest portfolio we know exists out there of data, and we house all of our own data and capture our own data and have an old data division in our company. The average purchaser was a 58-year-old male. And you go, okay, maybe that makes sense. But when you looked at a population that was over 50% female, with 80% of household decisions being made by women. But then the big demographic you were missing was the younger buyer. And by 2018, over half the country, purchasing age country, was under age 42. That group's now 46, but they're technically defined as millennials and under. And the shed industry seemed to not be interacting with them. So we would look at specific examples in the country where we would see spikes of younger purchasers of sheds. And it never failed. When you went to those locations and met the dealer, it was always a younger dealer. And I'm older, I'm in my 50s, so I'm not, it's not an age thing. It's more about, the usage of technology and how people wanted to transact. Well, RTO National was we were the first one to generate an online application in the shed industry. We were the first one to do automated approval, the first one to do a finance decline, RTO automated conversion. We introduced extended terms at 48 and 60. We introduced a lot of programs, how to do CRA. Our contracts actually generate automated at anywhere in the country. So if you're selling in Topeka and you sell one in Austin, Texas, it knows where the customer is, generates the right tax rate, flood zone, all of those things, then generates a legal compliant contract. As people were getting bigger, it wasn't just a single point shed dealer. But there was a classic meeting we had with a great dealer partner of RTO Nationals in 2017. And the two partners are sitting there. They had a great business, large shed company. And I asked them, I was like, well, how do you interact? Would your wife buy a shed at your lot? And the one partner looked at his other and he goes, I can answer the question. My wife won't get out of her car at our shed lot.
Really?
And, I've got a son, and he had a son at the time. They were in their mid-20s. And I said, well, how would your son buy a shed? And he goes, well, if my son couldn't find it on his phone, it doesn't exist. And I'm going, well, can I find your shed lot on that phone? And he chuckled and he goes, no. And they were successful at the time.
Wow.
You leap forward. Now, this is 2017. By 2018, we're tracking the data. We had electronic signature. And this was things that we tested in our own stores that we knew worked. But getting the adoption of the dealer to do it. The great thing about, especially the core of the planes industry and that type of thing, the plane industry in the business, a lot of them are great builders, great construction. There's not as much adoption of tech in some of them from a cultural standpoint, and you look at it and go, but where is the consumer? And what we were seeing was everybody was focused on the shed lot next door or the shed lot across town. And last year, Home Depot sold $250 million worth of sheds. Lowe's showed $50 million worth of sheds. Costco sold over 30 million. These are publicly traded companies. You go look at this information. Home Depot's number one outdoor product for the last 5 years has been a shed.
Oof. And they're
You're
worried
not
about
competing anymore with the guy across town.
Yeah.
With his display lot and a banner hanging on the side of the building, and you hope he answers his phone if you call. You're competing with multi-billion-dollar publicly traded entities. So what happens is we started looking at it, and we were leading the way. Electronically signed application for a shed purchase was running about 72, 73% with us in 2019. By March of 2020, And I don't want to claim COVID is a good thing for anybody.
Oh, I know where
But
you're
if
going
you
with this.
look at the evolution of the shed business, we had dealers flocking to us because we generate electronic links. All you have to do is be in a system at any point, picking a shed, using a debit card, credit card for a deposit, signing the full agreement, whatever you want to do, you can email it straight to multiple customers or text it straight from our system without having your own technology. We leaped from high 70s to 99.9% of all of our signatures were remote and electronic. Well, now leap forward to 2022, guess what? We're still 97, high 97, almost 98% of all of our customer interactions are electronic. And I go out and meet dealers and dealer groups all the time, and they're going, yeah, customer will be sitting here with me, and I'll just send them the link and they sign it on their phone sitting in front of me. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a matter of the customer not being ready, willing, or wanting to do it. It was the industry going where the customer was. And when I talk about the car business spending 20 years trying to get there, the shed industry got forced in spring of 2020 to get there very quickly.
Very fast. Yeah. Customer experience is one of the things that I speak about a lot about whenever I'm actually doing any kind of presentation or anything like that. And I think that is one of the areas where, and I'm glad you pointed that out. I think it's one of the areas where the shed industry, I felt when I got into it, lacked. I mean, there are a few evangelists of customer experience when it comes to the shed industry out there. And there are, and there are some people that I guess that don't realize that it's one thing to actually, it's one thing to actually get the customer to call you, but it's another thing to actually follow up and make the sale. And obviously, the ease of doing business with you is a huge part of that customer experience. And when you can offer a solution where you can text them a link or send them an email with a link, and they can complete the entire shed buying process at their leisure, that's got to improve your closing ratio. I mean, do you have any numbers on how that's affected your dealers and their ability to close?
Most of the time, and that's one of the reasons, we have a product called the dealer management system. So for us, it's about providing our partners ways, our tagline says success made simple. But yes, we provide rent to own, lease, purchase, payment options, and finance. But our core is we can't finance or lease a building one of our partners doesn't sell. So how do we then provide tools and opportunity? We've been described as a fintech, which is not a common term in this industry. We have our own in-house development. All of our systems are self-made. So we have a whole team of web developers, a whole team of IT infrastructure people, and we constantly build tools, not just to help us, but to help people interact with us. You kind of have to think of us. If you think of a rent and own contract, we actually bought the building and we own the building, and somebody rents the building for us. In a weird kind of way, I'm actually the largest shed dealer in the world.
Or the largest shed owner in the world.
Absolutely. I mean, because they come in and they rent back from us, and we, our partners are the seller and they come back out. So it's how do we help them do that more, even if it's a cash out? Mm-hmm. And it's one of those giving them tools. And those are the things like close rate in our own stores. We get, and as you know, it's difficult to get an accurate close rate because what is the inbound? How many people did you truly interact with? Do you just count people you saw face to face? Did you speak to them on phone? Mm-hmm. Did you chat? Did you email? Did you text message? Is it just somebody you got contact info or looked at your website? So close rates are a real variable thing, but our partners, and then in our own, we have 2 retail stores that we experiment. Our close rates are extremely high. Face-to-face interaction is over an 80% close rate. Phone interaction is over a 50% close rate. So you start talking about these numbers that are just tremendous, but it's about having a potential to solve any request for a customer. Mm-hmm. Meaning, if you interact with one of those stores and they have new buildings in stock, they have new buildings build to order, they have new buildings build on site, they have used buildings, they have carports, they have steel structures, they can do a cash sale, a credit card, a check, a finance, and a lease purchase, and they can do it all instantly from a cell phone.
And this is all part of the dealer management system that you guys provide.
If you use the dealer management system, you have the ability to do all of that.
And my understanding is you don't even charge for the dealer management system, do you?
No, the dealer management system, and we're all very careful. People commonly describe it as software, and I'll let that go because it's easier to digest, I think. RTO National has its own web-based platform. We have a lot of technology. We have our main center in Greenville, South Carolina, and our partners were coming to us and they were looking at third party. There wasn't much software available in the shed industry specific to sheds. And this consolidation we're talking about, if you notice, the big companies keep getting bigger. The shed dealers and manufacturers are getting larger and larger, and the small independents are making it harder and harder to compete. So we saw the bigger ones, especially mid-size. You do a couple $1 million worth of sheds a year, all the way up to you do, hundreds of millions of dollars in sheds a year. There was nothing specific to the shed industry. Like I mentioned, ADP in my auto background specifically built software for car dealers, Reynolds, car dealers. The shed industry didn't have it. And some of the packages that were coming out in the early stage, kind of talk about Idea Room, is we partner with them heavily, and we actually give you the ability to check out through Idea Room's 3D configurator. Some of the software wasn't compatible with us. Mm-hmm. And we had some very large partners of ours going, I wish there was something that would help us run our business. And classically in 2019, actually it was late 2018, we sat down and had a meeting face-to-face and brought one of our partners in that was looking at software and had him meet with our web developers and describe what he was trying to solve for. And the true literal statement is he got up and stepped out to go to the restroom, literally. And Mr. Falls, the owner, looks at me and he goes, we already do everything he's asking for. We just call it something else. So what we realized was, if we could just carve a piece of our system and give an isolated data protected cell of our core operating platform to our dealers, customized to their needs, we already did sales management, sales desk solution, cross electronic checkout, inventory management, transportation, warranty tracking and repair tracking, reporting, marketing day. All of that already existed with us. We already had it. But that system is 20 years old and has millions of dollars invested in it. So then the argument goes, okay, we're going to do this because we're going to help our partners. What do we charge for it? Well, just like you were saying, the average shed dealer probably couldn't afford a software system at the scale. Mm-hmm. 20 years ago in the car business, I was writing checks for $20,000, $30,000 a month for operating systems. That's just not realistic in the shed industry.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
So then the debate is, this is technology and development dollars we've already spent. So then the question is what do you charge? Do you want to make it a profit center? And we talked about it and said, if we're true to our core, if our core says, do what you do well, offer payments, make your living doing lease purchase and finance contracts. But if our statement is, we'll help you succeed as a business, and by just growing you, we'll grow ourselves, then you literally just give it to the people that want to partner with you. It's more cost effective. They can reinvest those hard dollars into more inventory, more machinery to build, more pay-per-click advertising and better websites and all these things that
I was hoping you'd go there. I was really hoping you'd go there. Thank you.
You want them spending money that drives it versus investing in something that you literally have the ability to just give them with no real impact to your P&L other than you might do more business.
Right. So I will tell you, when I was kind of doing some research before the podcast to kind of prepare for today and what things we might be talking about, one of the things that I think was a big misconception for me, and I'm sure it might be for a lot of shed dealers and shed companies out there, is that your dealer management system, you can put your non-RTO sales in that system and manage those the same way, correct?
Absolutely. You can run, it is designed for you to be able to, at core, run your business. It is a point of sale system for all your cash sales, your release purchase, your finance. You can do your sheds, you can do your carports. If you're a dealer and just a retail dealer and you carry multiple brands, you can run multiple brands of buildings and carports through the system. If you're a manufacturer, you can actually set your dealers up in a distribution network and have them, because it integrates with their 3D configurators. So they can actually have their orders flow in for management on the manufacturing side from their 3D design tool into the system. And then it makes it allowable for the dealer or the sales location to sell it. And in some cases, they can even sell it off the 3D design even before the building's even built.
Oh my goodness.
It'll manage sales that pre-sold, like custom sold orders. It manages their transportation. It'll manage retrievals. And we've even built it to where they can bring buildings in that are retrievals from other RTO companies.
Oh, wow.
I wouldn't sit there and tell you that it's a big selling point that you could use other lenders on the platform. We don't really have any existence of it because most people, by the time they use it, it's designed to work well with what we do. And when you see, well, why wouldn't I just punch a button and everything work automatically other than typing and typing and typing and typing and scanning and uploading and, PDFs and all this, it just doesn't make sense at that point.
So before we started recording the podcast, you and I were chatting a little bit about some of the integration features of the dealer management system, specifically with, like dealer websites and things like that. Why don't you talk to me about that as well? If I'm a dealer and I have my website, but I'm struggling to keep inventory up to date, I'm struggling to have, there's usually in dealer websites, you usually have a couple of different sections. You'll have the information about the sheds where you have the specifications, the options, the colors and things like that. And then most of them are going to want a sheds in stock. And I think the sheds in stock area is where you and I were kind of starting to go to. And I said, hey, let's save that for the podcast because that's good material there. So talk to me about that. You were telling me it's a very simple integration. 5 lines of code or so, you said?
Yeah. If you talk to, John Wilhite, our manager of our development, he goes, I can literally get it down to 5 lines of code, Richard. And it's we can literally email that code to a web developer, or even if you self-service it. We have one dealer that has a pretty basic old GoDaddy site and it worked. I won't tell you the rest of the sites particularly. He jokes with me a lot about it. So he knows who he is. I'm just picking at him, but it's the same thing. But the idea was, if you're using the dealer management system, it gives you a single point of entry. So if you think about, I have a 3D designer that integrates. So most manufacturers or dealers start with even stock orders. You can place them in our system as a designed building. Okay. So that design can actually be sold and displayed. But when that building is built and delivered to the lot, you hit a literal little green button that says it's there. And that building is now portrayed for sale. Single point of entry for photos, whether they come from the manufacturer of the sales lot, the description, all of the information about that building is housed in the dealer management system. We give your website 5 lines of code. That 5 lines of code, and you give it a destination, will display all of your inventory, all of the photos, the renderings, the image, the pricing, your description, manufacturing serial number, a payment offering on a finance and lease purchase. And it also gives the ability for a person to buy that building straight from your website or in destination from that image. So it gives you an inventory page that lists all your buildings, and then each individual building is a sub page, not to get too techy on the website, that actually helps your SEO and all these things behind the scenes. But all of that data is flowing from a single point of entry from the DMS. So the cool thing is like we love icons. So we have a little eyeball icon. If you want a building on your website, you punch the eyeball and it shows it on your website. If you don't, you punch a button and it comes off. And people go, oh, so I do that when I've got a deposit. And I said, you don't even have to do that. When you take a deposit or sell a building, it marks it sold and quit showing it on your website real time, or however often your website scrubs against our inventory feed.
And so if I'm a shed manufacturer and I have several dealers underneath me, or if I'm a dealer that has several locations, I could manage each individual location's inventory separately, correct?
Yes. And the cool thing is like, say you as a dealer owner, you want to see everything. You can pick and choose. So unlike most softwares that have an admin and everybody else, our system has 7 layers of hierarchy. You have a salesperson, a sales manager, an admin, a dealer owner, a driver, and a transportation manager. All of them have different customizable views. And you can choose at a view level of hierarchy. So let's say I want a dealer manager, but I want a dealer manager for one specific lot. So let's say you're a dealer that has 5 locations. You as the dealer want to see all 5. You have a dealer manager that floats between all 5, filling in on days off. So you want them to see, call it 4 of the 5. But then you have a salesperson that you only want to see the inventory and buildings at their location. It is literally just a setting in the system. Wow. So then their view of their inventory in our system is only what they have access to. If you use contract drivers, they only see the the deliveries, pickups, lot to lot move, or retrievals that you assign to them in the same app. So it drives that behavior of being able to not just allow control in what a dealer owner can do and delete a piece of inventory nobody else can do, but it even controls that at a location level, and it can be varied by your own design. So that's where when you get if you have multi-location or single location, you can sell a building in store, you can sell a building straight from your website. So we think about transactions in 3 buckets. What we call solo checkout. That means a customer sitting on the sofa at 2 o'clock in the morning eating potato chips can buy an in-stock shed and design a shed 3D, pay for it with a debit card or credit card, or finance it or lease it fully without ever speaking to anybody in your organization, and they just wait on the call for delivery or installation. That's solo. So we can do all that.
Okay.
Then we have what is the most common today, which is where we think the industry was heading, which is, we call it dealer assisted. That means a consumer starts interacting with you at some point. Typically, they find you on Facebook, they find you on social media, they find you via your website, they drove by your lot and they call you, and you start interacting with them, typically remotely or a combination of in-person and remote. And that's where we think the real value of the system is. They can look at a building online and send you an inquiry, a message, or whatever. You can reply that way. You can then customize that design or send it back to them and communicate via the management system or your website. They can partially transact. And what we commonly see is a spouse shows up and does their part and picks the building, but the other spouse wants to sign for it and they're remote. You can literally split the transaction. You can have somebody sitting in front of you sign it and then send the links with them sitting there to their spouse and have them sign electronically and close the sale all at one time. We call that dealer assisted.
Okay.
Then there's the old classic way. Customer comes up at your lot and goes, "Hey, I'm Joe and I want to buy a shed." They don't enter anything into their phone, tablet, or anything. You sit at your computer and you do a quick application. We don't require a driver's license. We don't require landlord waivers. We don't require proof of income. We don't require any of those things for a rental and lease purchase contract. You sign a contract and a delivery receipt when it's installed, and that's it. So it's a real quick and easy, and you can do it with the customer sitting in front of you if they don't use a computer like you used to, just faster. And then you can ask them, do you want a printed copy? You can get print if you have a printer, or do you want an email copy? And you hit email, and the contracts and delivery all go straight to their inbox.
Wow. Wow, that sounds like a true end-to-end platform. So what have I forgot to ask you about the functionality of the dealer management? So, I mean, we've talked about the ability to transact through it. We've talked about the ability to manage your sales lot, and I guess I would call that a role-based security system, so that you can protect the users or isolate the users into seeing only what they really need to see. What are a couple of the other features that I haven't gleaned by watching the explainer videos and things like that?
Probably one of the biggest enhancements, there's a lot to it, and I don't want to dismiss, you don't have to use a dealer management system to partner with us. You can if you want to. Some people look at it and go, that's just too much for me taking. You can still use an online application, do lease, purchase, and finance without the dealer management system. It works just the same way as it does. But when you get into the dealer management system, that ability to run and control your cash sales, do those things, have better reporting. One of the big ones in the ask was around inventory for stock. So we've actually embedded Idea Room and Shed Pro's 3D configurators into our core platform. So you can literally be in our platform, build multiple variants of one building, go back and choose the one you want and just stick it in inventory or sell it if you want to. So that was a big one, is around inventory management. We created a custom purchase order. So what a lot of people were struggling with, and again, the 3D configurators either had to charge you a lot to build one, or you're printing big copies. Mm-hmm. If you use our system, even on a cash sale, it has an image of the building. If you had an image from a 3D configurator, it has the serial numbers and the records of the building where it was built, has the sales location and who the salesperson was, all the customer information. But if you used a configurator feed to put that building into stock or custom design, it lists all the features, functions, itemized price breakdown, a 2D floor plan, has them sign, and real-time updatable disclosures. So if you make a customer sign hey, if I have to cross property, I need this, or I'll only level up to 5 blocks. The dealer can customize that, have their name and information at the top, and it generates it electronically for both signature or print. So one, you get an instant purchase order customized to that sale with very specific description of that building. I know a lot of shed dealers have paper purchase orders with a box so they can draw out where it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you use that design tool to put the building in your inventory, that design actually prints on your purchase order. So it cuts down, and especially when you're trying to transact remotely more, it's hard to sketch out that design the way we used to when most of the sheds were sold face to face. So the purchase order was a big one. Transportation management, there's pieces of it. So like we integrate into your mapping tools that you use on your phone, iPad, or computer.
Mm-hmm.
So the customer's data on where the shed's going is in the system, right? You already entered it on the purchase order, the sale, or the quote. You can click that address in the transportation model. It'll open up Google Maps or Apple Maps if you're using an Apple product. You can go to the satellite view. You can click street view. You can zoom in. And where we find great value, and our dealers are finding, is you can see where the building's going to be placed in their yard
on the property. Wow.
and talk to them about where it really needs to be and will it fit. Most people don't know, like in Google and Apple Maps, you can drag the little guy over for the street view. And there's a measuring tool that'll tell you how wide their driveway is and things. And it's actually really accurate down to about a foot or so.
I mean, have seen that. Yeah.
But then when you get to deliver it, your delivery driver just pops an address name on their electronic delivery request, and it opens up their maps and takes them to it.
Yeah, I think that I think you should be able to those tools as well to see elevation, to know, like if you see you're on a 45-degree slant, you might not want to put a shed there. You may need to level the ground a little bit first, or that sort of thing.
And that's not our software. We just built it where you're not having to open a separate window, a separate device, a separate tool.
Yeah,
you just do it all from one system, and it all integrates. I mean, things you would love, Jim, the marketing data. Once you're on the system and using it, hit a button. I want to see the demographics, men to women, age, color, size of building, style of building. I want to see that compared to the national data of RTO National. I want to see it by a time frame. And is my building, you can literally just punch buttons. One of the big ones people love that we use in our own role every day as a dealer, you can hit one button, what's called the sales report. Would you like to see your sales by your total company? Would you like to see your sales broken down by location plus your total company? Would you like to see your sales broken down by cash, lease, and finance? Would you like to see it in units or dollars? Would you like to see it for 24 months, 36 months? Would you like to print it and put it in Excel format and import it into your QuickBooks? All of those are just click a button. It's just filters on a single report, and it's instantly accessible. So as a dealer owner, I'm sitting there going, I want to know what we sold today. I want to know what we put in process today. You can literally just punch a button on your phone and it's real time.
Wow.
That ability to see and manage is just so critical today.
So it sounds like you guys have taken a lot of steps to integrate with a lot of different platforms, both in the shed industry and in other types of services that are complementary to actually transacting the business and running the business. I would imagine in your transportation module, the Google Maps can lead the driver where to deliver. I mean, I imagine there's probably a lot of things with that. Now, let me ask a question, and it's probably an obvious one, but you had mentioned your integrations with Shed Pro and Idea Room. I'm going to assume those require you to already subscribe to those services, correct?
Correct. So
so you can just plug it in if you already have it. It's not like they're going to log in and see your free tool and then get a free integration with the Shed app. No. I just wanted to clarify that, because I know that sometimes the best thing to do is just to be open about it. So let me talk about this. Given all the
if you don't mind, there's one thing. There is an opportunity. Both Idea Room, Shed Pro, Shed Hub, several of the other providers that are paid services. And by the way, we are very clear. We do not pay referrals or get kickback. We do not take them. Mm-hmm. We only recommend people that we feel provide value to our dealers, and or we integrate with people as they approach us and have a willingness to. We are not exclusive to anybody. But as we build those, most of them will offer you discounts because they don't have to load your inventory. It does it automatically off of a piece of code. So there are savings available offered from them, controlled by them, if you use our system, because it makes their jobs easier.
Interesting.
Just wanted to put that out.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's something that very important that people should probably explore. So tell me this: what is next for RTO National as far as the dealer management platform and others? I mean, you've got a lot of exciting integrations going on now. What's the roadmap moving forward?
The new product that's out on our side, I hate to say it's a product, but an enhancement, is what we call the MDMS. So we call the dealer management system the DMS. The MDMS is an extension of it designed specifically for manufacturers. And right now it's predominantly being used in the carport space. So a carport manufacturer can go on the MDMS. And even if a dealer is not necessarily a partner of ours, they can use a 3D configurator and submit an order, transact on that order through the 3D configurator in that manufacturer's website. And then the manufacturer has the ability to do the scheduling, the install, manage the order through their system while letting the dealer stay up to date. If the dealer's a user of us primarily for like their shed business or whatever, it's a really big enhancement. You don't even have to call your carport manufacturer to know if it's installed, where it's at in the order form. Is there any documentation missing? You can literally see it simultaneously in the manufacturer's ordering system. So it makes huge efficiency plays between both parties. It has application is being used in the shed industry. So you have dealers that you want to be able to submit orders to the manufacturer, but also sell and transact with that building in their own website. So the manufacturer dealer management system gives an ability for buildings and transactions to exist both places. So in other words, I'm a shed dealer. I can build and sell a building on a custom order through my website. You work with Jim, you get a great website, you've got your package in there, you got your design. You can then transfer that 3D design to your manufacturer through our system. They can then build it. You can see where it is in the install. They can then schedule it for transportation to your lot or to your customer and send it back out. And that deal is viewable in both platforms at the same time, even if they're different companies.
Wow. Okay. So that does sound like it's very good, because as you know, my primary focus at Shed Marketer is the manufacturer. So that's exciting news for a lot of our clients. All right. Well, listen, I know that I want to be respectful of your time. And I know you told me before we got on, we'd fill an hour, and we've almost done it. So I do appreciate you taking the time to come and talk with me today. Richard, if anybody wants more information about RTO National, they just go to the website, figure it out, or do you have a preferred method of people reaching out and getting in touch?
Marketing at rtonational.com is a great one. Information at rtonational.com is a great email. The rtonational.com website has a Q&A or direct inquiry field where you can ask to find out to become a dealer, or just ask a direct question if you'd like to in there. And I'm pretty easily to find myself. I'm Richard Mashburn at rtonational.com. You can email me directly. You know, like you said, you can go to LinkedIn. If you're a LinkedIn user, my profile, my personal cell phone number is actually posted out there. I've been in marketing and sales a long time, so it's better just to be easily accessible. But you know, any of the same main formats, we have 888 and 800 numbers usable all across the country. So we have a great field staff out there that would be more than happy to work with any of them. So yeah, I can't even list them all. There's so many different ways you can get in touch with us.
All right. Well, I'm going to call this one a wrap. I want to thank everybody for listening today. Richard, thank you again for coming on and agreeing to meet with me today. And listen, guys, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like this on your favorite podcast platform. And until next time, I'm Jim Mosier, and we'll talk to you later. Like and subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell if you want to be notified for any new videos that come out. And listen, until next time, have a great day.